All right. How's it going, guys? Want to welcome you to another episode of Evening Crypto with your host, your boy, the Real Shot 256. Thanking you for being here. Thanking you for tuning in. And I'm just going to do a quick update. So heads up, you guys. Although there's been plenty of news to talk about. Nothing too crazy. I don't think. I guess Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook was in front of Congress again today, talking about the Libra project, kind of making OAC look bad, and her questions not having anything to do with crypto, and he kind of put her back in her spot. But other than that, I mean, there's back announced that they're opening up an options trading desk by the end of this year. We'll see if that actually happens. As we know, recent history did show us that they tend to run into issues and tend to delay things quite a bit. So we'll see if that actually happens. But I do think them, stepping up and continuing to further develop their platform to now add options is definitely a great and further legitimizes the industry, cryptocurrency and Bitcoin mainly. And who knows? Maybe there will be other cryptos to follow. Maybe Ethereum. To really, the first one that comes to mind as far as being the next cryptocurrency or crypto asset to be added to such a platform, or other platforms for that matter, for trading, for options trading. Although Ethereum does quite mimic exactly to the point, almost. I mean, almost to the point. Whatever Bitcoin does, Ethereum does as well. So, but again, backed furthering and really expanding the offering within crypto trade or for crypto traders is definitely a good thing in my mind. But again, you don't want to trade based off of news events, things like that. Although they are very bullish, really the price of Bitcoin and the charts, they really don't care. So don't trade based on stuff like that. I've always said here in this channel, that's the reason why I started this channel, is to really debunk and just help you guys sort through all the crap in this crypto maze that we do sort of, trade in. So let's get into the charts. I just want to focus on the charts and just we'll talk about Bitcoin mainly, and then we'll get into Link, which has been on an absolute tear again. Uh, just seems unstoppable and just seems stronger than anything else in the crypto markets. Hopefully, you guys are trading it. At this point, it's a bit risky for me, so I'm staying on the sidelines. I did give you a couple of targets last video. Hopefully, you guys got in on that. And yeah, so let's actually do a quick recap of the market. Let's actually refresh this info here. We're currently trading at 205, 57 billion in the last 24 hours. Bitcoin dominance keeps falling to about 65, or it keeps falling to the lower 60s, right? I told you guys earlier this month that as long as we're above 60% Bitcoin dominance, I am not really going to get too worried about it. Although it feels like this 5% drop from 70% to about 60%, or 60 from 70% to 65%, should really give a little bit more breathing room to the altcoins than what it already has done. I feel like the altcoins should really be running, and so far the only thing that's really been catching my eyes as far as that goes is Link. Everything else has just kind of been, following on whatever Bitcoin's doing, and not really, taking advantage of the swing in the Bitcoin dominance chart. Again, I've used the analogy that this is like a pendulum, and it, it continues to swing back and forth from Bitcoin to the altcoins, back to Bitcoin, back to the altcoins, and it feels like the altcoins are being short-changed here. They're not really taking full advantage of what's going on in the market, by dropping that dominance on Bitcoin's part, which again goes further to legitimize my whole theory that there is no altcoin summer coming, and hopefully you guys aren't trading heavily in altcoins, shitcoins, however you want to call them, and are sticking to top 25 at best, at most, as again, these markets are very risky. They're shallow markets. Liquidity is certainly an issue, and so therefore, you probably shouldn't be trading too many shit coins. Sticking to mainly Bitcoin, and whenever you see a good possible outcome, if you get into any sort of altcoin, then at that point get in and out. Really, you don't want to be stuck in a position where there's low liquidity and the price keeps dropping, right? So what seemed to be a great trade turns out to be a nightmare trade. So hopefully you guys are heaving the message. But you guys are big boys and big girls. You know what to do if you're listening. All right, so let's actually get into it. Yeah, I do expect a bounce here from Bitcoin dominance, especially if we do get a bounce on Bitcoin. I do want to show you guys something that's been catching my eye as well. I believe this is the longs. Yes, absolutely. Look, we've actually gotten an uptake on long. So this tells us that the market people are starting to feel a little bit, starting to regain a little bit of confidence in Bitcoin at these levels and starting to long it, right? I had told you guys a couple of days that I was longing, and I was longing it prior to this move. I ended up exiting my trade at a slight loss. It's okay. We're still alive, and we are living to trade another day. I did tell you guys that I thought it was a good range, and we had a couple more days before Bitcoin's decisive move to the downside, which was completely expected. But it as this market usually proves to be, very much unpredictable, because again, there's no sort of outside influence that really will make effect or take an effect or really influence the price of Bitcoin. So it's really an unpredictable market, unlike traditional markets where the tariffs and the trade wars and all this sort of stuff will create chaos and will cause price of the S&P, Nasdaq to drop. There's nothing like it in the cryptocurrency space. So it is very much unpredicted. I thought I had a little bit more room to go. It was sort of a risky move on my part, and it really bit me in the ass. But it's okay. Like I said, I exited at a small loss, not too. Yeah, it always hurts to be on the losing end of a trade, but it's not the end of the world. I'd rather exit the trade early on and take a small loss versus staying on that trade and just continuing to bleed my position and losing more and more money. So again, I have the chance to recuperate. Really, and remember, you're not always, and I'm not always going to have the right calls or the right answers. That's why I'm saying always tell you guys, not financial advice, just sharing what I'm doing. You don't have to follow in that, but there's a reason for that, right? And I've told you guys, so that you don't get caught with somebody else's bad decision like mine. You have to do your own research, right? You have to really think for yourself and act for yourself, and that way you have nobody else to blame, right? I'd love to take the blame for it, but it's really you. If you're not doing your due diligence and really taking care of your pockets, your money, then really, if anybody says, if whoever tells you to buy or sell, do it. Don't do it because somebody's just telling you to do it. Do your own research. Taking a sip of water here. All right, so that's the longs. Let's actually look at the shorts, which again, we did get an uptake in shorts. I mean, we really, which is kind of strange, right? Because we did see shorts actually getting people not shorting Bitcoin too much, but then we saw the dip. People, I guess, were starting to feel a bit more, should we say, optimistic on the price of Bitcoin going up. And then we bottomed out here, and we've actually seen an uptake in short. So, I mean, it seems like a split, sort of a split, what do we call it, sentiment in the market. Although the longs are kind of edging out the shorts right now, which tells me that people in this trading in these markets are a little bit more on the long side, right? People are more optimistic than they're not. Okay, so that's one takeaway from this video that you guys can walk away with, is that it seems like the sentiment in the market seems like they're edging out the shorter, or the longs are edging out the shorts. All right, so let's actually go to our Binance chart and start talking about what should come. And actually, let's bring out our drawing tools. And let's bring it in just a little bit here. So we're so close to the 618 here at 7,200. From my last video on Tuesday, before this breakdown, which was again the expected move. I was telling you guys that this is very, 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 very likely the move to follow. Again, I was expecting this to hold this formation for a little bit longer than it actually did. But again, the unpredictability in these markets is just surprising. So we are holding at 74,000, just as I told you guys on my last video on Tuesday. I was expecting it to hold at 7,400. Between 74 and 75, we're doing just that. And then again, it is very likely that we are going to test, like we did see here. Initially, we did come back and retest. What was the low of this one here? The low was 7,300. I do believe we are going to tap into the 7,200s here eventually. And by eventually I mean more on the shorter time frames, more on the sooner rather than later time frames, and then we'll see. We'll have to see. I mean, right now we broke down off of this formation. It's time to reevaluate the fact that we haven't found a quick bounce off of this area, and just a lot of sellers in the market right now. Although there are some longs that, again, the longs are edging out the shorts, which it's just a sort of a sentiment evaluation. But again, look at volume. It's been mostly sellers coming into the volume, not a whole lot of buying pressures. That's why we don't see Bitcoin really bouncing. So again, contradicting information. Although there's more longs than shorts. This is telling me that we are surely going to retest the 618 again between 73 and 7,200. That should be coming fairly quick, fairly soon. In my eyes, should be coming there. Again, not financial advice. I'm only sharing what I think, my opinions, my thoughts. I do think we should see this the price of Bitcoin tip into the 73 to 7,200, between that range, and we'll see from there. Hopefully, we'll find a bounce there. This is going to be a key area of support, and we should have a bounce there. We should really find one. If we don't, then real quick, I do think we're going to keep finding Bitcoin price in heading downward even more. Let's actually look at our long-term chart here. Let's look at our Bitstamp chart here real quick, which I've done for you guys for the last few videos. I've been working off a Bitstamp just because it has a longer price history, and this just goes to show that as I've been telling you guys, that we do have a lot more room to the downside here. I am plotting this line from back here in October 2016. So there's just been plenty of history and this acting as support. We did see Bitcoin not quite touching it, but having a nice bounce off of it. We're looking at the daily. So I mean there's plenty of room to head downward. And I had to reset my charts too, so I lost some of my drawing tools that I had recorded on these charts, so I have to redo it again. So sorry about that, guys. Again, if you want to go back and recheck recheck my previous videos, you guys can. Now we're doing a swing from this swing low to this swing high, Fibonacci extension, and I told you guys, I drew a box right around this area around 6,600. And so if we break down from this area here, from 7,600 down, that was to be a hugely important area. So if we break down below this box here, then very likely we are to come down here and retest this bottom area of support, which again will still not be, we should find a higher low ultimately. Not hopefully not surpass the $3,100 mark. If we do break down below this area here, let's actually put a nice little tag right around here. If we do break below 4,200, then we that's going to be super dangerous. And then 3100 will be, will be certainly, be something that we should be contemplating. And if we do break 3100, then all hell is going to break loose, in my opinion. I mean, all hell starts to break loose right around 4250. If we break down below it, 31 just, I mean, it just adds to it, and then below that is just, I mean, God knows what's going to happen. But again, this is definitely the long term. I do think we're, if we are to come back and retest the 0.786 here, this should, should work its way down. It seems like a lot of traders, a lot of retail traders are kind of, sitting on the sidelines waiting, because it's just not it's not a very inviting trading environment right now. So I do think, and we see it in the volume, right? In the trading volume just diminishing and diminishing. We also see it in the overall market cap hitting the 205 billion. If we do break down below 200, I mean, that's just going to be, further validating the fact that, my theory is that we are going to head back down into these lower prices. I do think, again, I do think that we are to actually come in and get into the 786. That is an eventuality, I think. I'm still holding this sort of opinion, this sort of scenario as the more likely. I don't think that we're just going to turn around and start reaching back up to retest this area of resistance here. And then ultimately, again, as we work our way down to hit or retest this rising line of support here, we are going to find a bounce off of that area, in my opinion, and then coming back to retest this area of resistance here, back down. So we should be trading, within this triangle here, this massive triangle, sort of like this, until we actually break out of this, right? Now, again, the same rule applies, right? This is the longer term outlook. Same thing applies. Once we get to about 75% filled within this formation, then a move should happen, and I do see it as this, building and actually breaking out of this formation, right? This is the very likely scenario. Again, we know that Bitcoin likes to trade in these patterns, these triangle patterns, and again, because of a lot of things, and also the halving coming up next year around May or June of 2020, I do see that as a very, very significant, highly significant event that, as history has served, that is one of the things that really propels the price of Bitcoin upwards, right? So I do anticipate that to actually play out, and we'll in the meantime we'll continue to play this game here, and then actually eventually break out of this and quite possibly come back and retest 20,000. But that'll be, maybe end of 2020. I'm thinking that's just kind of my opinion, just kind of throwing some stuff out there, thinking out loud type of thing. So again, that's just my opinion. You guys can really comment down below, and we can have a discussion about this, what you guys think and why, right? It's very important for me to when you guys say something, to tell me why you guys think that. And also, please remember, leave it down in the YouTube comments. If you're catching this video off of Facebook or Crypto Twitter or wherever you might click on the link, make sure you leave your comments in the description or down below in the YouTube video platform. All right. Okay, so let's see. Do we have anything else? Let's actually look at the monthly real quick. I do want to look at the monthly, as it is very, very important. There's some things here that I do want to bring up. So we did see the closure of last month's candle several videos ago. I told you guys that actually before the close of September, before we got this candle here, I was telling you guys that I didn't want the big sign would be, if the monthly RSI actually dips down below this 21 EMA here coming in here, and we did, right? So it's really another sign, a huge sign. I mean, I cannot really overstate this. I see this as a huge sign that we are to really find lower prices in Bitcoin. This is again, because this is the monthly chart. this carries a lot of weight with it, right? So the momentum here, the momentum indicator in the RSI is really telling us that Bitcoin really wants to head downward still. If we were to flip this around, then the RSI, the momentum RSI would actually indicate that we might be turning things around and head over to or head back up into these previous areas of resistance. But what is really looking like is that we are to actually keep finding lower prices here. Now we are in key support levels here with the 30 and the 21, and actually the 100 simple all coming in here in confluence. I do think again, and it's lining up with the 786 right here, right above it. So, say that we are to like I've been telling you guys, so we should find, and let's actually bring this chart here. We should find. It's actually not going to help. Um, I'll go back to that chart and explain here in just a minute what I'm thinking. But we are to find these lower prices around 6,800 eventually. If we do break down from the 30 again, that's just being continuation to the downside. The RSI is we're about to get another monthly close here in about a week for October, and I do think there's nothing really to help me turn it around, right? And look at this. Also, the three black crows. We also have sort of a whatchamacallit. We call these the shooting star dildos, or I heard somebody call it a dildo instead of a candle. It was hilarious. Sorry, don't mean to steal somebody's thunder. This is a shooting star candle here, followed by another red candle. It could also mean, a reverse hammer or hammer candle here, and then followed by three more. So the three black crows also comes into mind, which they all mean reversal, right? They all mean reversal. The RSI is pointing at a deeper continuation of these bears attacking the price of Bitcoin and really coming back to retest the 21 here again around 6,800. That's to me that just seems like that's going to happen. We are to get a close in the red here for this candle and continue on downward with the next candle, and then find that the RSI gets deeper and deeper into the bear, or actually deeper into the neutral control zone, but heading into the bear control zone, right? All right, so that's kind of what we're looking at for the for the long term, and again in the immediate future as well. That's all actually in confluence. Now, another sort of, gosh, I feel like I'm just full of bad news today, but the weekly also looks pretty bearish. I mean, we just broke down below the 200 simple here. Going to find a little bit of support here on the. I actually switched over adjusted my EMAs here to a 99. I was using an 89, but I adjusted it to a 99, almost 100. I do feel like this is a better representation of what I'm looking for. So I did switch that over, and we see that the price of Bitcoin is actually, like I said, actually dipping down below the simple 200. We're currently below the simple 100, the 21, and the 30. There was huge confluence there. We just broke down below it, and it's actually will definitely act as resistance if we're trying to find a bounce here, which we're not. I mean, obviously, last couple of weeks has been nothing but selling pressure. Mm. Sorry, I had to take another sip of water here. But again, we should, and this actually is coming in confluence with the monthly chart around 6,800. There's the 100, or actually not 100, but 99 EMA is coming in there to act as support. So initially, we should again find sort of a temporary bounce there, but again, continuation to the downside within this blue box. I really would like to see Bitcoin bounce, right? If we get into this blue box here and actually find a bounce, because if we do, that'll be indicative of the bears actually trying to take control. We'll see if they actually win or not, but that would be kind of meaningful in my eyes. All right, so let's go back to our Binance chart here for a minute. Actually, let's clean this up just a little bit and get back into the daily chart as we are trying to make our case here. Actually, bring these back. All right. Okay. All right. Now, this box was representative of something that would kind of help us switch around our mind frame as far as, are we going to get bullish on the price of Bitcoin? But, again, there's nothing really happening on that front, nothing to really help us feel or give us any sort of hopium or to let us know that we're actually going to, maybe possibly turn this around. There's nothing out here right now that is going to help us, change our minds around. So right now, being really in the hands of the bears right now. Again, not a lot of buying pressure. So I do again from another sort of indicator that we are to come back down again to the $7,200 range. All right, let's actually look at the 4 hour, and then we'll move on to some altcoins here. Let's see, 4 hour. I mean, 30 coming in here, 30 simple coming in here, acting as downward pressure. Where Bitcoin just doesn't seem like it even wants to try to bounce above it. There's just very little buying pressure here, buying support, right? So, I mean, just barely, right? Just barely beating out the bears, but not with significant volume, right? So we're just probably going to remain here. Um, excuse me, guys. I was having Cheetos earlier watching the game, and they're starting to come up. Sorry about that. I know that's kind of gross. So we are to remain here for the next couple of days, I believe, maybe going into the weekend, and then again breaking down further into the $7,200 range. Within the $7,300 range, certainly is where I am keeping my thoughts. And then again, if we don't find a bounce off of that area, then we should continue on downward into into validating everything that we've been talking about here. All right, so let's actually switch it around. Let's talk about something better, which would be Link here. Link, if you guys have been following the channel again, I've been giving you some price targets for it. I was telling you that it looked like it was actually reaching a top. Looking at the 4 hour here, and it did. I mean, and I recently drew this triangle because it did seem it already started to look like it wanted to actually trade within this pattern here. And look at that, we did find resistance here, and we're actually rejecting off of that area. Let's actually tighten it up a little bit. Right here, right there. Here we go. And yep, there it is. Okay, so I don't expect this to really come all the way back down and retest. Although if it did, it's still as long as it's within the parameter of this um, of this trend here, or this formation here, I still don't, as long as it holds here, then it'll be another opportunity for anyone to enter a trade down here and then watch it um, quite possibly come back up, and trade within this area here, unless again Bitcoin does decide to have a massive dump all of a sudden and just head into the $6,000 range. I do think it'll drag everything along with it, as I've always told you. Just be mindful of what Bitcoin does, because it'll mean that everything else is going to follow, right? Especially if we dip down below 200 for the overall market cap. That is going to be a huge, in my mind, a huge event, a huge psychological event. And I do think a lot of people are going to get scared, start massively selling out of their positions, right? Until further notice. All right. Again, even though that Bitcoin had, if we look at the Bitcoin chart, we did see a big dip recently in the price of Bitcoin, and then Link actually followed in that, but then so quickly found a bounce. This is why I think Link is probably the strongest looking altcoin in the market right now. even Bitcoin, right? Because Bitcoin has not found a bounce, and then we do see that Link has actually found numerous bounces. We do see here some indecision with this candle here, sort of a spinning candle, spinning doji, and but then coming back to or actually having continuation to the upside, and until we actually got the entire move, not the measured move. I'm sorry, just the entire move all the way up to retest this previous area of support or resistance, and we are now naturally rejecting off of that area and actually finding support around the 30 simple here. All right, so just a nice little retest of the 30. I do think it would be more likely than not that we do break down below it, especially because of the market conditions that we are in right now. I do think we are going to find a little bit more action to the downside, but then we could potentially come down to about this pivot point, and actually I'll draw a box for you guys right around this area here, right in this area here. We should find a nice bounce off of this area initially, and we could potentially retest this previous area of resistance here and before we actually head down. So whatever happens here will be key, right? If we actually break down below this box here, then we know that we are going to come back and retest fully down, all the make a full move all the way down to the bottom of the triangle before actually finding a bounce. So this area here around, let's just call it starting at 254, $2.54. We just got a new candle. It looks like, yep, we did. And what is this? 249. Right, 249, right? So between the inside this box, whatever happens in here will be, deterministic as to what we're going to find in the next week or two. All right, so let's actually look at the daily really quick. What the daily is telling us. Yeah, I mean, there's just, I mean, huge separation. I mean, still very bullish on the daily, but again, this and these things, right? These things usually signal. Look at the daily. I mean, just another another shooting star candle here, followed by sort of a spinning or hanging man, which again, these things signify or usually means that there's reversal coming, and just, I mean, look at Link just being super resilient, super strong, and just saying, I don't care what you say, what you two guys are saying. I'm just going to go back and do my thing, right? So that's why I'm really just amazed at what's been going on with Link. Again, too risky of an area for me. I'm a safer trader. I'm not really going into any trades on Link right now. I think I lost I lost my opportunity there. I did actually enter a small trade and did actually get about a 4 or 5%, almost a 5% gain. But did not think that we were going to actually come back and retest the top area of resistance here. Did not think that that was going to be possible, and so I exited way early. But hopefully you guys didn't, and that's where we're at. And we look at this, looking at the 4 hour when we drew this box. There's a bit of confluence here on the daily with the 30 simple here, letting us know that yep, there is confluence support right in this box where the 30 is coming in, and initially will tell us again. This goes to solidify our theory on the 4 hour. The 30 is just definitely solidifying that and saying, okay, we should find a bounce off of this area initially, and then we'll see if we do break down. Again, it just means that we should come back and retest the 21 immediately after that. All right, so that's the daily. The daily RSI is telling us that there's more room to the upside currently. So if we do break above this neutral area and actually get above this line here, right where my cursor is at currently, I do think that we might actually find a bounce sooner than what I'm thinking, than what I'm saying right now, and actually maybe have a third test of this resistance line. We'll see. We'll see. We'll have to wait the next couple of days and see what happens. All right, so that was Link BTC. As we do see Bitcoin actually dropping, we do see this chart actually looking better. We are finding resistance right at this area where the previous high came in here on the daily chart, which is definitely an expected sort of support area. Plenty of separation between the 30 and the price action currently. So we again, that's in confluence with what the 4 hour is saying. The 4 hours the 4 hour was saying that we do have some more room on the RSI to go up. Did we? Oh, that's because we're looking at the dollar chart or USDT. We're now looking at the BTC chart, which is telling us. I mean, the bears are in control right now. Again, we could actually see continuation. We could definitely see continuation, although that's not guaranteed. Again, because we are in the bull control zone here, doesn't mean that we've topped out, right? So keep that in mind. Let's look at the 4 hour again. Again, this is the link BTC chart. Finding support at the 30. That's where we're at right now. 30 and previous pivot here, pivot high. So I mean, from a Bitcoin standpoint, if Bitcoin starts to dump, then we'll probably see this. As long as link holds, we can probably see another move to the upside. But initially, we'll just have to watch it for the time being on the shorter time frames and see if it actually finds another bounce here off the 30. All right, let's actually look at BNB. BNB. Yeah, I mean, having a nice reaction. I like what BNB is actually doing on the shorter time frames. This is the 4 hour on USDT. Do like the fact that it's finding a relative quick bounce here. We did get above the 30, now retesting the 21 here. If we do break above the 21, I do think we're going to find our way and creep our way up to this area here. That this there'll be huge resistance here. So if you enter a trade, say if you entered right around the 30, and we break above the 21, this will be a great area for you guys to start de-risking around 1760, 1750. Great area to de-risk, and then the 200s coming in here right around $18, which was a previous area where we were definitely trading. And again, that goes to show that we did break down off of this formation here. Let's see here. Yep, right here. So once we broke down below this line here of support, you knew that that was a massive move again because Bitcoin was doing it. But again, anytime we break below any area of support, then there's a big move coming. Same thing goes for whenever we're trading. We're looking for a breakout. If this were to have broken up above this line of resistance, we would have known that we were breaking out and making a nice move to the upside. But instead, we actually broke down below it, and that's where we're at currently right now. But again, I do like this bounce. Let's actually look at the daily. See what the daily's telling us. Actually, 4 hour is looking pretty good. If we do break above the 21 EMA here within the RSI, that will be a good sign. So if you guys are watching BNB, we'll look out for this thing here. If we do get again above the 21 there, that'll be a great sign for continuation. And just look at this is the daily, right? BNB is actually looking pretty strong. I mean, pretty resilient. I based on this behavior here, although we broke down, we are finding a bounce 2 days consecutively. Although this is a pretty new daily candle here, it does look like it wants to definitely come back and retest the 21 here on the daily, which is coming in at 1760. So at the very least, if you enter a trade here, let's actually put a measured move here. It's probably about 3 or 4% move here. Let's see, 21's coming. Yeah, actually a little shorter than that, about 275. 2.75 move, but it does look like it wants to retest 1760. Definitely does look like it wants to do that on the daily chart. Now the RSI is pointing downward, although I don't like this because we have conflicting information here. RSI is telling us the momentum is to the downside, but we are finding that the price is moving upward. So I definitely do not like that. Definitely do not. And there's no sign that the RSI is actually thinking about turning this around and actually coming back up to retest the 21. So I don't like this. This could be bearish. This could be a bearish sign. So be careful, guys. But again, it price follow the price. Don't follow anything else, right? So, gosh, I'm sort of splitting hairs, I know, but follow the price action. When this sort of thing comes into play, in my eyes, always follow price action. If price action is actually reaching up, then I do think this move will actually play out into the 17.60, within the next day or two. All right, so there is that. Let's actually do one last one. Let's actually look at XRP. and then we'll probably do a quick run through the rest of the alts, and then we'll wrap it up, guys. I know it's getting kind of late, and this video is starting to drag on. Definitely trading within this range here recently. I do like the way this is looking again as BNB. We are finding a nice bounce off of these I mean, very violent moves within Bitcoin. Does seem a little bit stronger than Bitcoin. Currently sitting right below the 200 simple here. I do want to see if we are to find continuation. I want to see Ripple actually open and close some candles above the 200 simple here. Definitely want to see that before we can start to get even more bullish on this, and possibly retest this previous pivot here at around 29 cents again. But not too bad. We're at 27 cents. Although the move on Bitcoin's part was more dramatic, more significant. We do see that Ripple, although it wicked all the way down to this previous area of support, did find a bounce quite quickly. So that's always a good, meaningful sign. Again, as long as we get above the 200 simple here, that'll be a great sign. And we are to come back up to about 29.60, 29.50. That's on a daily. RSI, I don't like this again. It's doing the same thing that BNB was telling us. RSI is telling momentum is to the downside, but we are finding higher prices. So again, this could be a bearish move, but follow the price. Follow the price. 4 hours even looking better. We're above the 200 simple, the 200 EMA here. So the 4 hours is actually looking pretty good, and we do find some confluence here, although it's starting to round off here. It does look like it might want to turn around and come back and retest the 21 on the way down. So be careful, guys. The daily is showing contradicting information, so follow the price. I do like the fact that we're above the 200 here. All right. If you pay attention, if you can pay attention to this in the next few hours, definitely, something to keep your eyes on, because it could actually come back and retest this previous area of resistance at around 29.60. Okay, guys. So, or yeah, 29.60. All right, so let's actually take a quick look at Cardano, and also again having a nice bounce, rejected by the 21. This is the 4 hour, although RSI is telling us it could be continuation. The 21 will be key. If we can get above the 21, then you guys will find that there will be continuation. This is the area where I would be looking to exit a trade if you guys do decide to enter a trade. This right here at around 0.39. That'll be the area where I would start de-risking. XLM starting to break down, finding support on the 30. Just looking very indecisive to me. Very indecisive. Um, just barely hanging on to the 30. This actually looks like it might want to lose the 30 here. And the RSI is actually validating that. So XLM not looking too hot. Let's actually look at the daily. So the daily is also in confluence there. I do like that, because at least we have confluence there with the two time frames that sort of matter, right? V chain looking flat, getting above the 30, but selling pressure, flat out. I mean, maybe some more continuation within this sideways, more of a sideways consolidation, sideways trading here for the next few days. RSI is telling us that we could potentially find a move upwards, but there's no volume in this, guys. I mean, there's absolutely no volume. It's shallow as it gets for V chain. That's on a daily, so nobody's really trading this. Let's see. Let's EOS. Don't like EOS. Don't want to spend any time with EOS. Actually, let's look at Raven coin. Very key, guys. If we are to break down the 200 here, the 200 simple coming in here, we definitely have some confluence acting as support here. If we, but then again, there's some pressure in between here. So whoever wins out is going to be significant here. So if we actually find a bounce off the 200 here with Raven coin, we could actually easily come back and retest the 200, this previous pivot here coming in confluence as well. So this will be, again, this is in case we do actually bounce off of this area. This is where you guys should be looking to de-risk right here. If you do enter a trade, keep a close eye on it. This is a good trading potential opportunity. of about 25%. Not bad, not bad. I don't think it's going to come back and quite retest this area here. We might actually sell right where the 200 is coming in at. And if that's a case, what do we got? What do we got? About 22.5% trade. So not bad, you guys, not bad. But I don't know that this is going to happen. Look at the volume. There's definitely lack of volume here. Where RSI is telling us that there could be continuation to the downside as long as we don't break. Again, this is the make it or break it zone right here above the slightly above the 200. Let's actually try to zoom in here a little bit so you guys can see a little better. Hopefully that's better for you guys. The 55 and the 200 definitely is acting as pressure and support, resistance that support. Again, whichever way we break out or break down, that'll be an indication of where we're headed. I know that sounds kind of obvious, but it is what it is, guys. And then we could potentially, if we break down, we could potentially come back and retest this previous pivot here at around 300 sats. Okay. All right, guys, I think I'll wrap it up. Hopefully you got something in exchange for your time here tonight. I do appreciate you guys joining. If you did like the video, please also consider subscribing and hitting the bell notification so you do get notified whenever I put out these videos and these updates. And again, thanks for your time. I will see you guys on the next one. Thanks.